Turn now to our breaking news, the death at the age of 70 of the American singer-songwriter Bobby Womack. Jason Newman is from Rolling Stone magazine. Jason is on the line now from New York. Jason, was it indeed your magazine that was given this news by Bobby Womack's publicist?
Yes, well, there were rumors of it on Twitter, and there was a lot of uncertainty. Obviously, some people were saying it's a hoax as things go. But yes, his death was confirmed by a representative for XL, which was a label that put out his last record.
Do we know the cause of death at the moment?
The cause of death is currently unknown. Bobby had suffered from a lot of medical ailments in recent years. He had early signs of Alzheimer's. He had pneumonia. He had diabetes. And then certainly the worst thing, the most serious thing was he was diagnosed with colon cancer, which he was declared cancer-free about 2 years ago. But it's sort of, there's been a series of health problems. But as of now, they don't know the actual cause of death.
Tell us about his music.
It spans 7 decades. It's a long story, but the quick story is that he started with his brothers as the Womack brothers. He started when he was about 8 or 9 years old. He's the son of 2 musicians, so music was always in his blood. And he was discovered really by Sam Cooke, and Sam Cooke was the one who sort of took the brothers under his wing. They were a gospel group at the time, and changed their name to the Valentinos and kind of made it a little more pop and a little more secular. So Sam Cooke was sort of this, kind of father figure to him. In terms of the influence, really before Marvin Gaye, before Stevie Wonder, you had Bobby Womack, who was doing this incredible, gospel and then later pop and soul music. And then when he went solo, after he left the label, in the 70s, he was really one of the biggest soul acts of the day. Some of his albums and tracks are just classics. Probably the most famous is Across 110th Street, which is just kind of considered a soul classic. But he's kind of, he was doing it for 7 decades, and he played Bonnaroo, which is this big U.S. festival. He played it, last week, so there were no signs, outwardly at least, that anything was wrong.
And did he ever go into music production, or did he always simply want to be on the stage doing it himself?
Well, it was a combination. So he was a guitarist by trade, and actually in the 70s he was really a really notable session guitarist. He played on a lot of albums, played guitar on a lot of albums. Aretha Franklin's Lady Soul was probably the biggest one. Probably the biggest one, but he was a songwriter as well. Wilson Pickett really liked him, and Wilson Pickett was the one who was kind of convincing him a little bit to do this solo career in the mid-'60s. So he really, his versatility was really incredible. It wasn't just the voice,
And music that we would have heard, say, in the past 20 years, 30 years, who would he have influenced of that generation?
His range is kind of incredible because when you think about it, wasn't just soul singers. So the people like Damon Albarn, obviously of Blur and other outlets. Damon Albarn was the sort of one who produced his comeback, if you will. He hadn't been around for a little while, and then there's an album called The Bravest Man in the Universe, which came out 2 years ago, which Richard Russell, who was the head of XL Records, and Damon Albarn sort of produced and kind of brought it for. And you look at really any, it's funny, it sounds hyperbolic, but really any singer that sort of owes any debt to soul music will always kind of trace back the lineage to Bobby Womack.
Jason Newman from Rolling Stone magazine in New York. Jason, thank you very much indeed for enlightening us on the life of Bobby Womack, who has died at the age of 70.